Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's August 25th, 2022. The season is really wearing down here pretty darn rapidly. And so I thought what I'd do is chat a little bit about the progress that I've made with the road work thus far. There are many different components to creating the road that I'm building, and that's because it's in the lower part of the property. There's lots of sediment, water, and all. And in order to not interfere with the flow of water, I'm using the stone from all the stone walls and foundations to allow the base of the roadways to allow water to work its way through and all. So, for example, this area here, I just finished this morning digging out the rest of the stone. Now there's still some stone, but this was one huge stone wall going all along in here. And all of this stone here that was here, and it's, well, it'd be 6 feet from the base of where it is there, about 15 feet, 20 feet wide in here. And that probably got me about 30 foot of roadway. So it really takes a lot of stone. Now I'll come in later on and try and dress up this whole area and all. I won't do it this year. The big push is getting our road to the other side of the forest line first. But up in here, this area up in here, that's the area where the other stone wall, so there's a stone wall that went across the property going east and west. This is, I'm sorry with the camera here, this is a stone wall that goes along our whole property, and I've taken it all out now. That goes north and south. So a really major ordeal. And we won't go up to that foundation up the hill there, and that's the highest elevation, what we talked about before. And I've done everything I can do to try and save all of the trees that were growing up in or alongside of the stone wall as well. So it's really tricky getting in here and not getting stuck, getting all this material out. So we'll go up to an area here and we'll look at a foundation that I just dug out just before lunch. Having Elon Takushi TB290, and this machine has been fantastic to really get in here and be able to dig into these stone walls, loosen them up, and so that I can come in with a Hulk. That's a Takushi TL12 V2 to get this, to haul this material out. So I just dug this material out just a little while ago, just before lunch. And you could sort of see this is not as bony as the stone walls, but it's enough material here that came from this old foundation in here. And this material will be, and you can see the height of it there, you can see Pepe is over 6 feet tall, about 7 foot tall. So you can see the height of this, it's over 7 foot tall. And so this is one of the older foundations, not the oldest ones, but this is the one that some settlers were here probably in the 1800s and maybe even extended into the early 1900s. Right there at the other side of this foundation, now there is a small little foundation left still over there a bit, but it's not a deep foundation. It's a very superficial stone wall, probably a little garden area that they set up. The well is just over on the other side, and it's all sand. So as soon as I got to this point, took out all the stone in here, pulled it up in here, and I have a whole bunch more to to get up out of here. And then it turns to, this is what the next material is like right here. So we go from a real sandy material, like right there, and you can see the topsoil on the surface of it there. Real sandy material, almost very super fine sand, not good for any construction work. Going to bonier gravel like this right here. And then down there is where I did the hugelkultur pits, which is pretty darn nice gravel. So that's what's left of the gravel right here with all the hugelkultur pits that I dug. This is the end of it. And this will cover up. So that amount of stone right there will get me about 8 or 10 foot of road. And this, I think, will give me a good couple inches of gravel. And of course, as I work on the road, it sinks in with all the heavy equipment and the low. If just imagine how much weight there is in a yard of this material and all. So we'll head down to the area that I've been working on now. But each step of the way, I have to dig out the base material that I need, either going along and trying to tease it out from where stone walls were, or digging out old foundations, doing hugelkultur pits for the gravel that will be on the surface. And so I'll head down and back now. Putting gravel, the finer gravel, all in here, but I have to do it like every week or so because everything gets compacted down. These are trees that were logs that I had stacked up right up over here, and I need to get these moved up to the main log pile that I've got out here where the hugelkultur pits are. Mentioned in previous videos that this whole area that I'm going into right now, I used many loads of stone and gravel in here to really bring up the level. There's very soft sediment in this area. There's no way I could haul the material over the area without building up the roadway. See a bunch of Canada geese out here, out over the Beaver, the upper Beaver pond. That's the upper Beaver pond. Lower Beaver pond over here. So this is the area that I started working on in the springtime and throughout the summer, making my way up. The dam walls are off to our left over there. And I've come up here before a couple weeks ago and showed you where we were. So these are the beaver dam walls all along in here. And see, you can't see them, but there's just loads and loads of minnows in here right now. Turtles are always up on the logs all around in here. Really, really nice to see. And so I built the road. There's so much stone in this whole area all the way up through. And like I said, I can get from that pile about 8 to 10 foot, and then I use the gravel and I cover up the area. But I've got to get to the rest of our property over at the end of this area here so that I can continue work up over there instead of trying to take the main roads around, which is completely impractical with the equipment. So we are making headway, and at some point in time I'll try and get the Skydio 2 up and out over here. The osprey, we see them all the time on the tops of all these dead trees. There's a couple of them that they really like a lot over in the lower beaver pond and one off to the side. The eagles will be over in that side over there all the time. The geese really haven't been around. Today's the first day that I've seen them back here. Lots of osprey activity. Certainly we see all the snapping turtles, the painted turtles, and all around in here. It's such a beautiful, peaceful place. Now, if our property went, so we're in the middle of a section of our property that extends back behind me and that extends this way here, and we're on the newer property that we bought. But if I were to make the roadway go around over the edge there, I'd be just on one of the neighbor's property, and unfortunately they're not interested in selling that. I'd like to have as much of the property around here as possible to keep it forever wild and to foster the species that are here. We're so fortunate that we're blessed to live in such a gorgeous location. And down in this area, it's so quiet. During hunting season, you can hear all the guns going off and you can hear the planes going over. But it's a really beautiful place to just be quiet and to be with nature and to do lots of observation. There's so many amazing things going on around us out here and all. But my big push right now is to see, can I get this road over to there? Trying to get enough material. And of course it looks pretty deceptive. You see these trees here, it doesn't look very deep, but it is fairly deceptive. Hopefully we're going to get pretty darn shallow over there. But I'm running out of rock for the base. I can always dig more hugelkultur pits for this gravel and all. So that's about it. That's a look at where we're at with the roadways and all. You know, this has been the big push for me this season, is trying to make our way and get the road at least onto higher ground over there. I'm having doubts that I will be able to accomplish that this year because I have to really find good locations to dig up enough rock to build a good solid foundation here. But enough about that. So that's an update on our roadways. A bit challenging, nerve-wracking at times, and certainly we want to do our very best to keep this place beautiful, maintain the habitats, allow the water flow to flow as it naturally has, and allow the beavers to do their work as well. So if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. And by all means, folks, take good care of yourselves and stay safe. Bye-bye now.